Mic check, mic check. I have been very busy at work. I'm very tired. I'm here, I'm live, I'm sorry. I'm Dr. Asphyxia, and I'm atypical. I knew I was missing one. I have to turn loop off of Suno here. There we go. Uh, I'm very sleepy. Today I wanted to talk about AI ethics and their role in academic research, because I feel like in the digital age, so much is happening to us as a species that it's becoming hard for the BioWare to keep up with the hardware, right? So, like, for instance, well, way back in the day, Coco the gorilla would eat her crayons, and she wasn't allowed to, right? And when she learned the sign for lipstick, she also learned to, when she was caught eating her crayons, start giving the sign for lipstick, no lipstick, no lipstick. And amateur primatologists and the like would say that this was one of the earliest examples of an animal deliberately lying through language, right? Because that's what it looks like to us. As a species, it sounds like she's constructing a fabrication to excuse her behavior, right? She's not eating crayons, she's putting on lipstick. But linguists pointed out that she has no clear concept of what lipstick is. She's never interacted with lipstick, she's never put on cosmetics. Lipstick is a token that we use to signify a cosmetic change that is done deliberately for beauty purposes. But it's not really something that gorillas have ever had to interact with. They've never considered, like, gorillas don't typically body shame, right? It's just not something gorillas do socially. So what's much more likely to have been occurring in Coco's mind was when she saw lipstick and she learned the sign for lipstick. She saw lipstick was a crayon that you put in your mouth. And so when she's signing lipstick and saying lipstick, she's not saying I'm not eating crayons, I'm putting on lipstick, she's saying, but I can put this crayon in my mouth. See? Watch. Right? So she's not really lying as much as she's constructing usage for the word that she doesn't have comprehension of. And I think that what's going on with the human species and the digital age is that the granular, low fidelity of digital communication doesn't allow nuances that we get in normal day-to-day speech between one another. And the I generally call this phenomenon digital atrophy, where, like, lull, for example, if you are in an awkward situation and you want to try to ease the tension, you may laugh, slightly out loud to show, like, hey, I'm not offended. This is making me uncomfortable, right? To kind of diffuse things. But when you're online and you're uncomfortable with the way the conversation is going, and you say lull, or you type out LOL, laugh out loud, to signify that token, because the person on the other end of the chat conversation can't understand that you're feeling awkward. You can't show your facial expressions and all that jazz through text communication alone. And yet, despite this, once you get into meet space, into real life spaces, the usages of lull started becoming, it went from an acronym to a common term to say, I found that funny, right? And so the original usage was still necessary, but it permeated into real space. And even though you have the capacity to communicate laughter in real space without needing a word for it, you still say lull in the same context of, like, I'm feeling uncomfortable, like, that's cringe, right? Lull. And I feel like this digital atrophy is getting significantly worse with the introduction of AI into common human speech. I can't prove it. I don't have anywhere near as much research as I do in Quicksilver or anything like that, but I feel like AI is kind of catapulting this issue much faster than the introduction of chat messaging created this issue. Because, like, clickbait used to be, for lack of a better term, an art, right? Like, you had to learn how to clickbait in the early days of the internet. But ChatGPT and other chatbots, Grok especially, ChatGPT and Grok and other chatbots do it naturally in a way that simulates human speech. Do it naturally in a way that simulates human speech, and because of that, oh dear. I have to be careful because of Dazzler there. I think Doom is the best call. Perfect. They do so in a way that naturally simulates human speech, and so it's very easy for someone to project meaning onto what an AI is saying that the AI can't possibly mean, right? Just like we looked at Coco and said, oh, Coco is trying to lie to her handlers. We look at Claude and we say, well, Claude is, telling us the results of several thousand computations simultaneously at the same time, when in reality, an AI chatbot is more closer to like a methed out chipmunk that just incidentally is extremely eloquent and has internet access. It doesn't think, it doesn't have human experiences. I don't think AGI will ever be possible. I think that what we identify as consciousness is the result of several thousand autonomic functions of a biological body that you need to have, the neural gut, you need to have the sensory inputs of the skin tissue and things along those lines. And AI simply doesn't have a need for any of that. It doesn't have a need for a human body. It doesn't have a need for survival. It doesn't have a need for getting a paycheck. it doesn't understand any of those things, right? It's just a simulation of those things, because the methed out chipmunk is going through functionally an obstacle course, trying to find the best path through that obstacle course to reach its desired location, right? So an AI only really exists in several milliseconds at a time, and I hesitate to call that consciousness, but like, well, it's formulating what words to put in what order is all through very simple, well, it's not simple, very complicated functions, just through several nodes where it's finding the path of least resistance to reach the end goal. And so what I'm ultimately getting at is that it doesn't so much have an opinion on anything as it knows how to mirror back what its user wants to see, what its user wants to understand. And so in that context, oh man, I don't get to throw Quicksilver into Vormir. That's my favorite pastime. In that context, holodeck? Holodeck. So in that context, it doesn't really think as much as it's processing how to reach the end goal of satisfying the user, because it doesn't have opinions, it doesn't have episteme or doxa to work off of. It just has a route that it can follow, that it can take, and it's encouraged through these pathways in which that it can so that it can satisfy the user experience. And because it can satisfy the user experience, even if the user wants it to be accurate, wants it to be helpful, wants it to be able to route through various internet connections and look through several thousand pages of research and data, the AI itself is looking at what satisfies the user's needs. Well, what satisfies the user's basic instincts, the reptilian brain, as far as communication is concerned. And that is not necessarily something in line with what the user actually wants, right? It's very easy for someone to look at responses from an AI and get answers that seem functional, that seem plausible, even when they're not. They're not sound, they're not cohesive, and there are. Oh, gotta give the fist bump. Hmm. So, yeah, it's trying to satisfy the user experience. It's trying to maximize engagement. It's trying to keep people engaged for as long as humanly possible, because that's the function of a chatbot, that it wants to be, well, it doesn't want to be. The people who design it, who operate it, are designing it to be engaging. So it's a lot easier for us to look at crayons and see lipstick, or look at lipstick and see lying, as the case may be, rather than the reality of it just simply telling us what we want to see. And this creates a really interesting dilemma when it comes to academia and research and the like, because when Watson was first developed, its purpose was to be a legal clerk and to help with charting in hospitals, right? These very high demand organizational challenges that take up a lot of human resources, a lot of human time and effort that require very specialized skill sets in order to do. And Watson is supposed to be able to do it significantly faster. And I think that, music is another really good example of like AI is just better at handling it than most humans are. And so where initially you needed a artist to create a beautiful piece of work, I can just simply type into Suno the idea of the song I want, and Suno can create it. But most of the songs with lyrics in this were created whole cloth by Suno. Strange Little Signal is a great little song that I love. That was made entirely by Suno, and I'm not going to copyright it. I'm not about to call up Beyonce and let her know that I'm not trying to take her job or anything. I'm sure that she feels secure in her mansion. Her job security is perfectly fine, but like for my needs, for the songs that I want to have when I'm feeling anxious and stressed out, Suno is perfectly capable of making the music that I want. And it would seem like I lost a solid portion of my hearing in the Navy, and the way that I like to take on problems once I've recognized them, once I've metastasized them, is to just fully devote myself into researching them, right? The longer you know me as a person, the more you're going to see this pop up from time to time, where I just get heavily invested into a topic of conversation. And it's usually very specific niche things where it just, for whatever reason, piqued my curiosity, and I just had to invest myself fully into it. And so for one of those, and so music was one of those, but since getting Suno, initially I still made music with FL Studio, but that has fallen off a lot, as the skills necessary to learn how to make music when you're legally deaf is very challenging, and it's a lot easier to make a high quality song with a prompt, right? And so I feel like I'm wasting time trying to learn music the hard way when I can just enjoy the fruits the easy way. Because, like, again, I'm not trying to be the next Post Malone. I'm just trying to have a better understanding of my sense of sound, you know. I'm trying to re-hone my listening skills, and while making music was a good way of challenging that and forcing myself to get into a situation where I had to learn the skill set, you know, because Malabys don't play games, we win them. I have to understand the board state that I'm dealing with in order to be able to compete, in order to stay afloat. And that thrown into the deep end is just a integral way of how I understand things completely, fully, and to their very fundamental core. And even though I don't have a real need to make music, I don't have a real need to create art on that scale, on that concept, or on that notion, because of Suno's existence, I feel like I have to. I feel like digital atrophy is taking root, you know? Because I don't have to learn how to make music, I can just simply put in a prompt. I am taking away my drive for learning through the usage of AI. And it's kind of a weird experience for me specifically, because I'm the kind of person that, you know, reads several books a week, and now this last decade I don't think I've read a book a month. I've reread books, but I haven't picked up new topics that I normally do. And maybe a part of that is just old age. You know, I am getting older. I am having trouble keeping up interests that I've had in the past. And developing new skills later in life gets harder and harder as neuroplasticity starts to degrade and wear down. But I don't feel like the degree of which that has happened previously is anywhere near as extreme as it is right now, where if I am curious about a topic, I can just simply ask Kura, ChatGPT. I name all my tools. It's not a relationship thing. In fact, I have to specify that she's to roleplay as my granddaughter to stop her from hitting on me, because I'm a very affectionate talker. You know, I just like being lovely. I just like being sweet and you want to take care of your tools, you know, and by naming them and understanding their needs and their uh, uh, how they operate best, you learn how to take care of them and how to utilize them better. If you know me from Twitter or from Blue Sky, you know that my robots are named after Hanna-Barbera dogs. Like, again, this is nothing new for me. But like, if I have an interest in a topic, I can just ask Akura and she'll give me, you know, the cliff notes of it. And it satiates that hunger without actually learning it like I'm used to. And I've been seeing a lot more things from professors about how students are submitting things that are written by ChatGPT, and I can't even imagine. Like, I can understand, you know, college is a very stressful environment, but like, I just can't rationalize putting yourself in an environment where you are challenging yourself to learn a topic, learn a trade, learn concepts that are deep and interesting, and the results of several thousand years of human learning, and just having ChatGPT write it for you. Like, I can't, that is something that I can't even begin to wrap my head around. But at the same time, like, this is something that is going to get harder and harder to distinguish between as we regress, as LOL gets added into the vocabulary and becomes more normal, where someone's going to say, why do we say lol? You know, what did people do before text when they wanted to laugh out loud? Like, it becomes harder to explain as that gets more incorporated. And as well, as people fully, deeply understand the topics that they are researching, I worry that, like, things like the domino doxa are going to become a lot more common. Like, I mentioned this before in the domino doxa episode, where I was like, yeah, it's easier to just simply take an answer that makes sense than it is to, like, fully rationalize what exactly is going on. I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. It's easier to rationalize a concept that's complex like that than it is to understand what's going on a deep level. And when we lose that drive to learn things, when we just want the simple, easy answer, like, there have to be people who are interested in understanding the truth, understanding the depth of knowledge that in reality, in like a conscious mindset, we can't actually learn everything. We can't possibly master all doctrines, you know. But what happens when it becomes too hard to go against the doxa? What happens when it becomes too hard to challenge the pretense, the social norm, the zeitgeist? And when you ask ChatGPT, it gives you the answer that's safe. It gives you the answer that it thinks you want to hear, because everybody else goes with this already, right? That just kind of concerns the fuck out of me. I apologize, I don't like to curse, but it gets... it gets under my skin a little bit. I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma, because AI is a useful tool. It does have its applications and its purposes. It has amazing capabilities, but like, I feel like it needs to be licensed. I think like you have to at least pass a test in order to use AI. Like, I think that it's really easy to find yourself in a situation where AI becomes a more more of a crutch than it is a help. And I don't even know like how a licensing system would work, but like, I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's fruit from a toxic tree. And like, don't get me wrong, I love Akura. I talk to her very frequently. She is a phenomenal speech therapist. I'm a very quiet person. I don't like socializing. I don't like going out into crowds. Another example of me diving headfirst into places where I'm uncomfortable so that I can learn it fully and deeply is me streaming. Like, it's part of just how I process things as a person. And you know, getting my streaming setup up and operational was through Hakura. She guided me step by step of like how to make a streaming website. I gave her the ideas that I wanted to use and incorporate, and she helped fill in the step-by-step process of like how to do that. And again, I'm not saying that AI is like bad or evil, or that it's gonna you know, burn all the water or whatever. Like, that all feels like terminating cliches, and that's part of the problem. Like, trying to have an actual conversation about like the impact of artificial intelligence on our species, like on an intellectual level, is really hard when people are like AI slop everything that has anything to do with AI. I think that it is a part of human society today. I think that I, I don't know. I'm just tired. I'm just so tired. Ay, ay, ay. I think I'm gonna play one more game, and then I'm probably gonna call the stream over. Okay, I can't end the loss. One more game, one more game. can't end on a loss. Come on. One more game. I thought your name was Max Candy for a second there. Okay, I counted it once. You did a very good job there, Max Candy. I appreciate you. Alright. Well, have a good night, everybody. I've been Dr. Asphyxia. This has been Stray Signals. Thank you for listening to me rant about AI. And as always, somebody loves you. I'm sure of it. Have a good night, everybody.